All right, everybody. It's been a long day. It's fact into the long night, but we are still here for the Game Arena Spring Summoner Series Grand Finals. After 6 teams came in, 2 teams remain, and 2 casters plus production also remain. I am Baskin Knives, and joining me for some color in the green, the man with the green shirt. Ruinous is here. Ruinous, how you doing, my friend? How have you been liking the day? How have you been liking things at Game Arena?
I've been doing okay. I've been here since 10 in the morning. I've been following Hotdogs, and I've been following on both sides of the bracket here. Offered up that I could cast, or I wanted to cast. I was interested this morning, and last game of the day, finally getting the opportunity. So I'm glad to be here.
All right, well, no time like the present, no moment like the finals. And after our 2 sets of semifinals where the Jerks made quick work of the CSU Vikings and the banger series that we watched of Hotdog versus UC Pink, we are here with Hotdogs on the blue side, Jerks on the red side, and bans already coming in fast and furious. We already have 2 top lane bans, potentially a third coming out for the side of Hotdogs, and the Nunu and Nefiri band. The bans all day so far on the side of Jerks, finishing off with the Ziggs ban. You've been following them all day.
Yep.
So
that final
what are your
ban,
thoughts on some of these bans so far?
There it is. So the Ornn, they've been either receiving that Nefiri, that Nunu, and that Ornn ban, or they sometimes like to switch it up and ban that Maokai from Fisher Friends. First picking Lulu here, a classic. I think Hotdogs have picked Lulu support every single game today. So, quite the diversity in the bot lane. And throwing 2 bans over to Final Boss of Ohio on the side of Hotdogs, opting for that third Ziggs ban against Voidstar. Voidstar hovering the Zeri here. A champ that he has been practicing a lot. Does lock it in.
All right, so yeah, the Voidstar Zeri and the Sejuani coming on in. So if Survey says how they're going to normally do this, you would think that Hotdogs is likely going to look for the Maokai pick that's been something that they've been widely successful on. But Lulu seems to have been the flavor of the day for applause every single game that she's had that available. She's been looking to go for that. And we'll see what Urson has as an answer going up against the Zeri. The Tristana was successful the last time they used it versus UC. And so we'll see if they can get another early game advantage with that champion again, this time up against a less pokey comp that they dealt with the last time of the Varus and Karma.
Like you said, Maokai is still up. That's been a comfort pick for Fisher Friends this tournament. So we'll see if he opts for that. The Lilia picking it away from the side of the Jerks jungler, I believe, is a counter pick. Well, a takeaway pick there. So see what they answer on the side of red.
Yep, the Lilia can definitely be a strong pick, good scaling, lots of damage, and most importantly, just the annoyance of the Eep.
Yes,
so,
the Eep.
The Eep and the mini game that is the bowling ball game.
The
so
Lilia
we'll see how many strikes Fisher Friends
Yuumi,
can land.
wow.
And everybody's least favorite champion in the game. Why does this exist, Riot Games? Yuumi has been picked. We have ourselves the Zeri Yuumi bottom lane.
Yuumi's funny. She's like half a champ. You only really have to do half the functions required to play. All 170 whatever champions in this game.
Yeah.
The Jerks.
There aren't many people that are fans of Yuumi. I don't think there's going to be a ton of fans in the chat of fans of Yuumi in the chat either. We're seeing the Swain ban coming on off. That was a huge sticking point for Shun. He was really, really great with it.
Yeah.
Person who said they loved Yuumi in chat, I mean, hey, you're one of the few. Good for you. You keep living your truth on that one. But coming in Asol ban as well as GP and Camille ban. So they're definitely continuing 4 bans targeted towards the top lane of the Jerks. And the Hui insta lock in for the mid lane here. Really trying to get a good chunk of range and very powerful late game scaling on the side of the Jerks.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Hotdog decides to respond to this Hui here. Victor Just a sit in lane and farm all game, sort of mid lane. You know, the most fun. Scion hover, Scion locked in.
All right, so definitely still the weak side tank duty. Scion is definitely almost, besides Ornn, one of the kings. In fact,
Yep.
probably the original play weak side and outscale because you just become a walking wall of beef and meat. The Victor's an interesting pick. I see that commonly played into the Hui, so kind of doing scaling for scaling, tit for tat here, as well as a bit of potential anti-engage. You know, the Zeri, the Yuumi, and the Sejuani are going to want to look to go on in. And actually, a likely bit of change of events, potentially the Sejuani top with the Kayn jungle, unless they're going to do a weird flip and put the Kayn on top.
I believe it is Kayn top. I think that I believe that the Jerks played Kayn top into Hotdog for the first match of the day, and you know, they had success on it. The Jerks, they you know, won their first match of the day against Hotdog playing this Kayn top. So I'm assuming, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That is true.
It is one of Final Boss's more popular picks that he likes to, you know, resort to. One of his weird niches. You know, you don't really see Kayn top, so.
Yeah,
Excited.
it definitely is a very niche pick at this point. I've personally never really seen Kayn top, but definitely with Alcove Gaming, it can be a little bit more advantageous and a little bit easier to scrap with. You know, you get the double melee top lane, which melee top and jungle, so that does give a good advantage for Sejuani ganks. But overall, looking at these comps kind of top to down, where do you think the advantages lie for each team?
It's kind of hard to say. I think that Hotdog has, you know, amazing scaling, right? Victor, Scion, Tristana Lilia, literally all of them. You know, they're definitely playing for those 3 plus item, you know, late game team fights. The Jerks, again, have a similar route, you know, great scaling. I believe Kayn started to be a problem their first game of the day when he started to come online 25 plus minutes into the game. So I think both teams are really looking for, you know, those late game team fights. Skirmishing early on, it's hard to say. I think that, you know, Lilia, Tristana, and Lulu from the side of Hot Dogs has great, you know, 3v3, you know, pressure early on. So they may opt for some sort of drag sack this game. It's hard to say, you know, especially with Yuumi Zeri not having a whole lot of lane prio early on. So we'll see how the game comes out.
Yeah, definitely is going to be interesting to see where they put their priorities. I definitely agree that the Tristana and Lulu should be able to take advantage early in the bottom lane, which might result in more dragon stacking. But yeah, I mean, these are the two teams that have fought the hardest. They've clearly fought their way all the way at the top. They've been slugging it out here since, probably about 10, 11 a.m. this morning, local time. And 2 wins gets you the prize money. Both these teams are guaranteed to walk away with prize money, but you certainly want to get first for the pride, the glory, and definitely that paycheck. But we're going to cut this thing over to a break here. And when we come back, Game 1 of the Game Arena Spring Summoner Series Grand Finals coming at you. All right, everybody, welcome to the Game Arena Spring Summoner Series Grand Finals Game 1. On the blue side, we've got Hotdog. On the red side, we've got the Jerks. And in the caster booth, we are here. We are ready to go. We are ready to crush it. How are you feeling, my friend? You ready for this Game 1?
Oh, you know I am. I've, you know, again, like I said, been here all day long. Have my hand in both of these teams. Know people from both of these teams, so I'm excited to see them play again in a best of 3. It's going to be great. Standard 5-point.
Oh, yeah.
Starting this game off, nothing too crazy. You know, nobody wants to take any risk this late into the series here.
Yep, this first game a little bit more conservative, and these teams, they were the first to play in the first game of the day. The Jerks took the best of 1 there, and now they have met again in the best of 3 finals. A lot of just like very safe posturing, no one even going in for any deep wards, playing really respectful, and we're likely getting just vertical paths down. and seeing if we're going to get any sort of early game fights after these junglers clear their camps, but a little bit of trading right away, and we're going to see where this all takes us.
Yeah, both junglers pathing down towards this bot side of the map. I believe, like I said, that I think the side of Hotdogs has that better 3v3 skirmish, at least early on. So I doubt that any fighting will occur. A lot of trading going on here mid lane. Shun.
Yeah, ton of trading going on. However, we're going to see kind of who hits that level 2 first, because Victor having that shield built in, you know, being able to take a good advantage of that with the summon Airy to get a good chunk of damage on off. Ooh, final boss of Ohio taking a little bit of damage there from that tower, but immediately looking for a bit of that roam. Notice he's on a ward, trying to dance around a little bit. However, Applause and Urson immediately getting the push in and getting vision down to be able to help snuff out the evil lobster.
Yep, just standard play. Troy definitely a little low. Probably will need a bailout from Lobster later on to get out of this lane here. Kayn going towards a proxy in the top side. Again, this is kind of beneficial for both top laners. You know, Sion's got his passive. He's chilling just by farming, and Kayn eventually will scale into the game nicely, so he's okay farming as well. Just classic top lane things.
Yeah, but I will say the one thing with with Kayn is that the lack of champion interactivity is going to take him a longer time now to be able to scale up towards his transformation to Rost. So that could be something that the Hotdog team might be able to take advantage of in the early 10 minutes of this game.
Sejuani just choosing to reset after her camps, realizing that there's no scuttle play to be had here at the bot side of the map. Opting for a reset. Applause.
Yeah, but still just kind of a bit of a push in here from the side of Hotdog in the bottom lane. Pings are going around to mid lane, however, not really resulting in anything, just trying to push Evil Troy out, keeping him low. Should be a nice even back from both mid laners. TP's coming on in. However, you have the Evil Lobster looking to come up top. He's pretty low. However, he does get the execution. So just going with the I'm going to take what I can. And final boss for Ohio teleporting in all the way to between the top towers. Definitely doing the new take on Proxy Garen is Proxy Kayn, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's the first TP play to that bush that I've ever seen. Just a proxy. Again, final boss of Ohio not really interacting. Could hurt him later on. Fisher Friend's now walking up, trying to get that E on him. He does hit it. Final boss of Ohio getting out, though.
Yep, it's a little bit of a push, and also chunks him a decent amount, and so having already burned his TP, he's going to have to start thinking about making some decisions on if final boss wants to stay in the top lane or try to go back to proxy. The dragon is spawning here soon, so we're going to see if that infernal dragon becomes a priority for either of the 4v4 of these two teams. So we got some chunks going down of damage. Both mid laners are without their teleport. And level 6 finally coming through for final boss of Ohio. Level 6 though on the Scion as well. Some good chip damage. And he's also going for the symbiotic shoes, so we'll see if he ends up how he ends up going about that. Getting the quicker recalls can be a good advantage for the Kayn. But with Sejuani coming down towards the bottom lane, I'm suspecting we might be looking for a fight here around this first dragon.
Yep, Sejuani is spotted by Hotdogs on that Tribush ward. Probably not a whole lot will happen after that. Both teams just cool farming. Sion now choosing to proxy, giving Kayn a little taste of his own medicine here.
Yep, oh, how the turntables have turned. Al Calamity is saying, you know what? Anything you can do, I can also do. And perhaps do it better. But you do have Sejuani, you have the Evil Lobster coming in on the Dragon. Urson looking to jump on in, getting some quick burst damage, and juking out the poke from Yuumi. A plate also taken by Al Calamity, so an advantage to the Scion. Gets the wave advantage as well as the extra tower plate, which is going to help this Scion continue to scale into later stages of the game. Also took the Cull So he knows that he's just going to be able to farm on up and hoping to utilize that to help him scale faster into the late game.
Lobster able to get the first Drake of this game, the Infernal Drake. I'm honestly surprised with, you know, the bot lane pressure pretty much that Hotdog should have. Perhaps looking for a play here.
Looks like they're saying we don't care for the dragons early. We'd rather play towards the Void Grubs, which honestly, if they are dealing with something like a Proxy Kayn, getting to at least 4 Void Grubs will be super advantageous, as well as having the Tristana. The faster you can push down towers, the better off you're going to be against a team like this. If you can push down towers before the Hui and the Zeri can wave clear stuff, you're going to be putting yourself in a really strong position to be able to take this game 1.
Yeah, Void Grub's definitely a great, you know, complement to Tristana's great pushing power here. And again, you know, just trade away Void Grubs regardless, as you don't want to necessarily give anything, you know, for free in League. You always want to be trading. 0-0, not a whole lot going on just yet.
Yep, we have one objective apiece. Got a couple plates taken here or there, but yeah, really it's just this is not the League of Legends we've been watching most of the day, which has been more of the LPL scrapping kind of style. We might get a little bit more of a scrap down here. Zeri popping the ultimate, but not getting much of anything out of it. No summoner spells even burned. But they did utilize the flash on Zeri for that engage, so getting in and out. Final boss of Ohio, forcing out his own ult as well as the ult from the Scion. The final boss of Ohio looking pretty low and likely having to back that TP, not ready just yet. And Evil Void and Evil Phantom have all gone on back. Trying to get a little bit of a reset here, probably from the side of Ursa, Applause, and then getting a reset of their own in.
Yeah, the side of Hotdog all taking their resets here, all on great timers. Curious to see. Okay. Not choosing for the lane swap yet. Could have been an option, maybe playing for this for Grubs for the side of Hotdog. Keeping the same lane assignments though. Troy,
yeah, I think they can probably do one more rotation of timers before going for the Void Grubs. With them being in about just under 2 minutes, you can still have a bit of time where both sides can get a good amount of farm in, and then you can look to get that reset and potential rotation up towards top lane. Lots of wards down here in this bottom lane, so they're definitely protecting the Zeri. They want Void to be the late game carry here.
Perhaps a 2v2 starting up here.
What they can do. Nope, Evil Lobster has been spotted on out. The bowling ball misses from Fish Are Friends. First rotation up towards the Void Grubs, the Void Grubs spawn point, is Evil Troy. However, Evil Troy might be getting himself caught out. He is caught inside the Arcane Storm, and he may end up hitting with all the archery thing, but it's not enough. You just got bopped, you just got eeped, and Fish Are Friends has secured first blood.
Yeah, great play from Hotdog there. Their jungle mid synergy. I'm honestly surprised that Troy was up, you know, that far with Lilia being spotted on the top side of the map, but great play from the side of Hotdogs.
Definitely a great early game from the side of Hotdog, getting some plates, getting some advantages early on.
Game's still pretty even. Hotdog's only up 1k gold here. Void getting a little low here. Definitely going to need his jungler to hover. They're not too sure where this Lilia is. She could be down here, but she is not. They are pinging mid. Could look for a play there. They know that Troy
Yep, some damage coming in. Having the fear coming in from Hui. Fish Are Friends are looking again. Evil Troy being pushed on out, but still able to walk away. With Sejuani being bottom, and Alchemy still fighting up top with Final Boss of Ohio, I think they're just going to be looking to get these Void Grubs. Flashes from both top laners, however, not wanting to commit, knowing that there are 2 others off the map and likely other Void Grubs because they've got the vision. trade flashes. However, they're trading dragons for void grubs once again, and we're going to see who comes out on top of this. 6 void grubs versus 2 early dragons. So far this tournament, I think the team with the void grubs has typically come out on top. However, most people, when it comes to the pro play side, prefer the scaling opportunity of the dragon souls.
Yeah, Hotdog definitely transitioning their play into this, objective-taking side. And
we might be looking for a fight here to see if they can jump onto Urson. Does not properly buffer the Sejuani stun, however, dodges the ult, gets the jump back away, manages to get themselves on out. We'll see if Applause can keep herself alive, utilizing all summoner spells. They managed to get themselves on out, costing the Glacial Prison as well as the final chapter from Sejuani and Yuumi. But still trading up 2 for 2, 2 for 2 in terms of objectives apiece. Only 1 kill to anyone's name and some tower pressure.
Really looking
the side bowling ball misses from Fish Are Friends, but does manage to get the Scuttle Crab clearing out a bit of vision here. And we're back to a bit of the calm.
Yeah, still very tame game. You could tell that the grand final games are getting to both teams. No more scrapping, no more random team fights. It's all calm and calculated. Very meticulous gameplay in this in these final games here.
Yeah, and probably looking for just a bit more sense of calm right now too. If they don't want to, they've been playing hard, they've been playing long, they don't want to make the mistake to potentially lose them the game or lose them the series. Both teams have worked so hard to get here. They don't want to give anything up. A little scrapping here in the walls, in the top lane. Final Boss of Ohio with the symbiotic shoes just really running on around and trying to push things. However, Urson and Applause are definitely pushing down the top lane, bottom lane as fast as they can, likely trying to get that push in and hopefully that cannon minion down before Void and Phantom get on back. However, they probably will not. They definitely will not.
Okay. Yep.
But as the tower plates fall, and we're only a couple plates taken, Alcalamity does have a pretty big advantage here, having taken 3 of the 5 plates before towers have fallen, and that top tower being down to about 20-ish%. You could easily do a lane swap and send Tristana up there to help finish off that tower.
Yeah, Hotdog's definitely taken advantage of these Void Grubs here. We could see a lane swap again. All this gold on Sion is nice, but not necessarily the person you want to get the gold onto. So maybe giving first tower again. Bot tower is also seems about half HP, so getting low as well. Plates have fallen, 30 seconds ago, so no plates left, but still first tower gold to take.
Still, everyone's posturing pretty safely right now. A lot of people in the bottom side of Hotdog's jungle here. Still not a ton of action happening. I'm guessing the next set of actions really just going to be occurring either around this 3rd dragon or around the Rift Herald here. But perhaps we're going to have a fight here. They might be looking for going into Sejuani, the Glacial Prison coming on through. But really not a ton besides a good amount of damage onto Applause. She is likely going to be forced to recall here, but besides blowing those 2 ultimates, that's a trade you'll take if you're Hotdog. They blew 2 ultimates, you didn't have to blow anything. That's advantage Hotdog.
For sure, friends. And Applause both taking the resets there. Kind of surprised that one of them, or at least Fish Are Friends, did not stay. They weren't too sure where Evil Lobster was, potentially leaving Urson to a dive here.
Yeah, Urson taking a good amount of damage, forcing out the Zeri ultimate as well as the Ignite from Evil Phantom. But also getting the Wild Growth out of Applause. A good trade back and forth. Urson kind of hedging their bet and thinking that they'll be able to still stay here. A bit of a risky gambit. And while the other 3 are moving up towards that Rift Herald, we'll see who decides to be able to take this fight. Fish Are Friends is moving up towards the top side. Final Boss of Ohio is getting put to sleep, is getting put on down, is getting bop, booped, beeped, and taken on down.
Wow.
Out
Didn't even have
Calamity landing the explosion to
Final boss
take
level high.
down Final Boss.
Yeah, no chance to even ult. Perfectly layered that CC there against that Kane. I believe this is first tower going over to the side of Hotdog. Grubs paying their dividends. Herald still on the map. Third drag of the game is now spawning. Seems like the side of Mehoff is positioning towards that drag. Both sides. It looks like Hotdog does not want to give any more drags this game.
Yep, the Jerks are definitely going for the dragon, and we're going to see if Hotdog allows them to do so. It looks like they might be looking to pinch on in. However, teleport from Final Boss is coming on, and he still has his ultimate available. We're going to see who can get the advantage first. Scion is not teleported in yet. You've got teleport coming in from Evil Troy, and it looks like we might have a huge amount of damage. Applause goes down. Fish Our Friends is sure to follow. Urson managed to jump on out. But that is all but assured to be third dragon going over the side of the Jerks.
Evil Void really playing these fights well, positioning great. A lot of damage already coming out from the Zeri. Just one item as well. Urson kind of walking up here.
They may not be done yet. Urson is looking like he might be the target. However, they're going in on Evil Lobster. They might have a bit of a time to get advantage on him. However, the Buster shot just helps bust him out of here. Still a little bit of posturing here. You have the advantage of the Void Mites for the side of Hotdog. They're looking to try to take down the second tower of the game. Try to reclaim some continuation of their advantage. Have the explosive charge, getting damage, pushing on down low. That second tower going down. And they've moved a bunch of their team down towards the bottom side, looking to posture pretty aggressive. While Fish Our Friends covers the top lane, looking to potentially go for this thing. However, feats of warfare are claimed by the hands of Hotdogs. Evil Troy goes down.
The tempo of the Jerks was definitely messed up there. You know, they decided to stay and protect that turret when, you know, both sides should have known that that turret was going down no matter what. And they kind of got caught with the overstay, and Hotdogs was able to take advantage of that. Shun now taking mid tower here as well.
Yep, 3 towers to none right now. A huge advantage, opening up 4,000 gold. All 6 Void Grubs, and looking to also push it even further by getting the Rift Herald. Not a ton right now the Jerks can really do. They haven't really gotten the point of where they are scaled up. You know, most across the board, you've kind of run into the problem of Scion is really tanky. Scion's on 2 full items, nearly on a 3rd item. It's going to take a lot to kill this guy up front, and I don't think they have the damage or the crowd control to really burst through him.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
However, we might have a trap being set here. Immediately, the Glacial Prison comes on down. Applause immediately goes on down. There ain't much left for her to do. Urson just trying to make the best of a bad situation, get a little bit of damage down. Otacon has spawned. However, you do have How Calamity pushing in the bottom lane, completely uninhibited by anybody. And it looks like the Jerks are on to Otacon. They are looking to try to get some damage done on this. How Calamity not having the teleport, but trying to get in range to potentially be able to drift with the Scion ultimate. Just instead going for that mid lane, trying to get some push in. And it looks like everyone's backing away from Otacon, not willing to risk it. As that's kind of been a bit of the Achilles heel for a lot of these teams in this tournament.
Yeah, Otacon it's definitely turned into one of those objectives where it feels like it's harder to kill than Baron, you know, and the rewards aren't as great as they used to be. You know, definitely got nerfed a lot over the season, and the team who usually starts it is at a great disadvantage. So the Jerks just choosing to back off there, sticking to their plan of you know, chill and scale.
Yep, definitely looking to chill and scale right now. However, with everyone being bottom side, just really not much for anybody to do. You have Dragon Soul in a 90 seconds, so you're going to have to start making some decisions here if you're Hotdog that you're going to want to contest this. And so you need to put yourselves in a position where you either force the Jerks to be on the other side of the map, or you guys have to be willing to give up this Dragon Soul. So they might be looking to look for the Otacon themselves, or potentially look to try to grab this dragon. But right now, Urson just getting some push in the top lane, trying to get himself into a good spot. Clear out most of the vision around the Otacon, but not all of it. They still catch him out on that pocket of vision. But they have left mid lane wide open for Hotdog to be able to push on down.
The Jerks posturing towards this Otacon, really giving mid here, realizing that it's going to be quite the mistake here as Hotdog's charge down.
Yep, with 6 Void Grubs and with Shelly in hand, they're actually looking to be able to do the drifting play and going for... Not going to be able to land it. Oh, applause. You didn't pass your Scuttle Crab Rift Herald driving test. It's all right. They still tried to do it. It still looked kind of cool. And you know what? By the power of Urson's explosive charge, they still managed to get themselves that inner tower bottom. But Hui pushing in the top side, looking for that second tower. However, likely the denial of Dragon Soul by Hotdog by getting that advantage in both mid and bottom lane. No contest likely here from the Jerks.
Hotdog starting this dragon up. Not a whole lot the Jerks can do. Troy picking up this tier 2 top lane tower.
So now at this point of the game, you got Otacon up. You have Baron in 2 minutes. If you are the Jerks, what are you thinking? What are you thinking that you've got to do right now to get yourself kind of back in control? However, let's wait on that. We've got the sleepy time coming on in. However, immediately buffed off with the McHale's teleport coming in. Final boss of Ohio. He wants to be the final boss here. There is no Lily ult. Fish our friends forced out with the wild growth. Al Calamity is getting low. However, the Spiraling Despair does end up missing from Evil Troy after he teleports on in. And Evil Lobster now is on the run. Void might be in a little bit of trouble. However, now Urson, the tables have turned towards him. Flash in. Applause is getting low. Final boss of Ohio. Is he going to be the final boss? No, he is going to get final bossed. Taken on down and low, battered and bruised. The Jerks are walking away, down one kill and really hurting right now.
Great fight for Hotdogs. Not a whole lot I think will come of this fight. Maybe they're posturing towards this Baron here, just setting up vision. We'll take their resets for when it comes on the map in 45 seconds though. Maybe taking Otacon here, believe they can play it. Lobster coming out of base. Void still pretty healthy, could look for a fight here, has ultimate.
Yep, Void flashing on in, looking to try to go in on everybody. However, Otacon, the 6th man, potentially. There's so much healing, though, from the side of Void. A quadra kill immediately from the Sejuani, and immediately into the ace. A pentakill for Void. And right on the heels, 10 seconds until Baron. This could easily be a flip and turn. They immediately get the Otacon and can go right into the Baron if they want to. They're looking to get the recalls in, though. They have the GA for the Otacon. What a flip, what a turn of events, what a ballsy play by Void and Phantom.
Yeah, and just like that, great play by the side of the Jerks bot lane. And just like that, the gold is now even in the game. Final boss picking up the mid-tier 1 that really opens up the map for them. Game is now quite even. Void hitting his 3-item power spike, very dangerous on the Zeri.
Yep, Void Zeri is scary, and he is ready to carry on this thing. We'll see if he can keep carrying, though, and see how the Jerks decide to utilize the Otacon Resurrection buff if they try to posture aggressively around this Baron and bait in Hotdog. If Hotdog allows it to wear on off, it's all about how you use this buff, because this is not a permanent buff, and you certainly want to take advantage of it, but also not end up giving up all your lives for that gold and then giving up the objective in turn.
Yeah, both.
It looks like they're going to turn towards the Baron, looking to try to bait it out, but I think Hotdog are wise to the situation, and they're not going to jump on it. I say that, and then Al Calamity jumping on in. However, he is unstoppable, going on in, immediately bursting down against the sign. Evil Lobster is taking low, but not low enough. Is going to be able to heal themselves back on up. Sleepy Time did not do a whole lot, but it did stuff a bit of the engage. Now, Evil Lobster does not have Warmog's armor, so it's going to have some healing, but not a ton on it. But you see now that the Jerks are now on to the Baron. Good damage from the bowling ball. Calamity looking to come in from the side. Evil Phantom utilizing the final chapter to hopefully get some healing off onto them. Fish Are Friends looking to get on out. Polymorphed and immediately withdrawing. Evil Lobster is sure to follow. He goes on down. However, we've traded back. Calamity going down as well, getting feared off. We're going to see if anybody else is going to end up going down. You took 2 for 1. However, the false life is the only thing that you get in return on the side of Hotdog, but it does stuff the Baron engage and stop them from being able to get any advantage back.
Soul point spawning here for the Jerks, 30 seconds. Seems we have paused.
Yep, it seems that we are no longer seeing anything that's going on right now, but that's all right. We'll get ourselves back. We'll take stock of the situation right now. So you still got the Otacon buff for a few, like a minute or so longer, 30 seconds, I think, at this point. And you have Dragon coming up in 20 seconds. Remember, this is soul point for the side of the Jerks. And you definitely do not want to give this team Mountain Soul because it will make this Zeri nigh unkillable.
Yes, of course. And it appears the Jerks do not really care about Baron here. I believe they don't even have vision on it. It's hard to say. All posturing towards this Dragon, going to burst it right on spawn. Calamity keeping up for this Dragon, or for this Baron, going to ult down, it looks like.
Yep, at this point, it's probably not going to be any bit beneficial. However, ult coming on in, unstoppable onslaught. Coming in, final boss Ohio jumping in on Urson. See if he can get away, getting some damage onto Calamity. Urson hit by the Glacial Prison. Zeri's jumping on in. Void wants to make some fight happen. It's not getting happen. Urson is getting low. He's getting bursted down. Uses the Buster Shot to clear the gap. Still getting chunked down by Evil Troy. Lots of damage coming in from this way. Level 16. A ton of damage coming over top. Mountain Soul is claimed by the side of the Jerks, and they are in pretty good control of the objective game in this game.
Yeah, definitely in the driver's seat now. That last fight, no casualties. Everybody really afraid to die here. One poor team fight from either side. It could spell the end of the game at this stage. Almost 30 minutes in here.
Yep, at this point, it's kind of a, won or lost fight can likely get you the game. And if you are the side of Hotdog, you kind of have to just be willing to take a risk. And it looks like they are trying to at least bait in the side of the Jerks. They do get the teleport immediately out of final boss of Ohio. So if they utilize their TP advantage right now they have on the Victor, they could get some side lane control, but the Jerks are immediately just tumbling down mid lane and trying to get as much as they can off the map.
Trading back to this Baron, going to get vision control on the side of Jerks here. Still a control ward for Hotdogs in this Baron pit. Keeping vision on there so they know what's up at all times. Taking the resets on the side of the Jerks.
Yeah, at this point now, we've got a bit of a sense of calm. It's kind of just, we're trying to scale up, looking at item breakpoints here. We're looking for, we just got the death cap from Evil Troy. We're likely close to some more damage here on the side of Shun. We'll see if he can get anything else out of it. Looking to just try to clear out vision for the side of Hotdogs. And they might be looking to go on final boss of Ohio, getting a little bit of extra damage down on him. We'll see, though, if they end up getting pinched, though. Evil Lobster's also coming on in. You've got the entire squad looking to come on in. However, a ton of damage coming in. The Flash and Ultimate from Final Boss of Ohio. He is trying to stay alive as long as possible. And is he able to? He is taken down by Urson. Enough damage coming in. However, at what cost? You have Calamity going on down. Void flashing on in. Void going on down, but again, at what cost? You still have Urson alive. You still have Shun alive. Can they keep themselves alive long enough? Urson's doing as much damage as humanly possible, but is it enough for the little Yordle that could? It's the little Yordle that almost could. Not enough damage here. You've got 4 dead on the side of Hotdog, 2 dead on the side of the Jerks. However, it is 2 of the carries, so likely getting nothing outside of some good gold resets on the side of the Jerks.
Yeah, Troy is definitely online now. We were scared of Void for the entirety of this game, and now Troy is showing his power on this way. Baron's still up. Both sides now, trying to regroup here, get control of the map again. We have Elder spawning in a little over 2 minutes here. Going to see where that brings us.
Yeah, definitely a tight game right now. Even with the 7-kill discrepancy, it's only a 1,700 gold lead, which means just about nothing outside of a little bit of extra damage. So we're going to see what these teams can do. We now have a Seekers available on Fish Our Friends. We got the Death Cap and a bit of the Armor Pen coming on in. Fish Our Friends might be getting caught out, though. He might be getting bursted on down. Immediately got not able to do much into that situation, and that's most likely the Baron here for the side of the Jerks, but they're likely trying to also stop the push from the side of Hotdog because they know that they have that really strong push advantage. Yeah. So for your Hotdogs and you're here, what do? Do you push down mid? Do you try to fight the Baron? It looks like they are opting to push down the mid lane. Maybe they look to do the turn on the Baron. Scion's ulting on in, looking to try to get something going. Can they get the burst? Zeri secures the Baron. Burst on getting chunked down by the Spiraling Despair. And I don't think you can really do much besides maybe leave Alcalamity to die. You have to get yourselves on out and stay alive as long as possible. Baron secured by the side of the Jerks, and Elder Dragon spawning in 48 seconds.
I would have liked to see the Jerks kind of keep Alcalamity alive a little bit longer, mess up his death timer, as Elder is spawning on his exact death timer now. We'll have that TP on spawn. Both teams obviously going to play for this Elder here. The side of the Jerks definitely a lot stronger with this Baron, but with this Soul.
Yep, they're definitely in a really strong position, and right now it's kind of just, can you burst down Void really quickly? Can you burst down Evil Troy really quickly? It's really, really tough if you're the side of Hotdog outside of getting a good pick, and the Jerks have been really good about not leaving themselves open to those sorts of opportunities.
Both teams
with Elder being spawned now, we have both teams posturing around the objective. We're going to see, though, Alcalamity looking to jump on in, going on in, forcing the flash out of Evil Troy. Spiraling Despair hits on the sign, but it's not going to do a whole lot. You have the sleep onto 3. However, it's probably not going to be enough. Polymorphed from the side of the final boss of Ohio. He's going on in. However, on the side, Shun has managed to take down Evil Troy. Final boss of Ohio is likely going to take down Fish Our Friends. However, he is traded for by Urson. Evil Lobster is next to the chopping block and likely not getting away. That is a shutdown onto Urson. We now have a 2 versus 4, and I know that Void's been strong, but you ain't that strong. And he is going on down. That is an 8 for 1. Fish Our Friends goes on down, but they trade the 1. They get the 5, and they are running it down to mid lane to hopefully end this game.
Yeah, 25 seconds left on Troy. That should be plenty of time left for Hotdogs. Going to end this game here. They don't even care about the Elder. Just one team fight mid. Engaged on by Alcalamity. Good look for him, but not... Oh, Alcalamity, yeah. Great engage. Going to pick up the win here for the side of Hotdogs.
Yep, it was a tough game. It was a well-fought game, but a clutch team fight, both with the teleport and ultimate from Alcalamity, and Shun on the side of that fight being able to burst down Evil Troy. Hotdog managed to take down the Jerks in game 1 of this finals series, and oh my gosh, what a game 1 that was. I'm still trying to catch my breath right now because that was just right after, like, besides the few lulls we got, nonstop action. That Zeri from Void was playing so well and doing so much work, but unfortunately, when you have the cat on your back, you just got that little extra weight, and sometimes it's just not enough.
Yeah, definitely excellent games from both teams. Great macro from the side of Hot Dogs. Great team fighting from the side of the Jerks. Curious to see how the Jerks will feel going into the next game. You know, how those emotions and feelings roll over into the next game here. So.
Yeah, certainly we'll be interested to see if what changes to draft, to side selection, any sort of adaptations that they have. But we will find out the answers to that and so much more when we're back here for Game 2 of our Game Arena Spring Summoner Series Finals. Stay tuned, everybody. All right, everybody, we are back for game number 2 of these grand finals. Hot Dog on the blue side, Jerks on the red side, and Basket of Knives on the left side, and Runis on the right side, or at least according to the way the screen's lined up. How are you feeling, my friend, after game 1? How are you feeling going into game 2?
I'm feeling great. I'm excited to see where these go. I'm excited to see if Hot Dogs can pull out the victory here, keeping the bans the same from both sides. The Jerks picking this last ban here. Going to be the Ornn, going to be the Maokai. See what they go for. Going to be that Ornn, quite standard from them.
Yep, no changes so far in the bans. We'll see if the picks at all are changed. I would say I likely doubt it. Seems like it's just been pretty well established that Lulu Prio is pretty strong for applause, and she's been able to navigate that really, really strong. So, hey, ask and ye shall receive. Lulu blue side number 1 definitely is going for that one, but we'll see if the Jerks try to run back the same comp, or if they end up trying to put something a little bit more standard, a little bit less strange than, like, you know, the Kayn top proxy early game. Maybe try to go for something that's going to be a little bit more active in the early game.
The Jerks, perhaps picking away this Tristana from Hot Dog. They will lock that in. Changing up the draft already. Curious to see what they pick second here.
Yep, taking away the Tristana from Urson and going for now just hard engage. They said forget poke, forget cuteness. We're going with Trist not. We're jumping in on your face. So that's a classic one. We're going to see if they respond with, like, they could do like Lulu Sivir. They could do Lulu Zaya. They definitely have some options of things that they could choose depending on what they want to deal with. The Mel pick, that's an interesting one. That's a champion we have not seen in a long time since her just absolute ravaging of nerfs over the last 3 or 4 patches here.
Hot Dog picking up that Sejuani. Likely going to be played at top by Alcalamity. That is one of his picks. Going to be matched by Camille from Final Boss of Ohio. Again, that Sejuani could be flexed between Fisher Friends and Alcalamity. We'll have to see where that goes. Swain Band coming out from the Jerks.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting. But yeah, they definitely finally got the priority on, we are picking a top laner before our top laner receives 4 bans. Final Boss of Ohio is probably going, I need to be able to live up to my name. I need to be able to play a Final Boss character. And Camille is definitely a Final Boss level character.
Yeah, definitely one of his more proficient champions here. Hot Dog banning away this Hui as the Jerks picking their last champion here. Picking their last ban.
Yeah, the Hui was definitely a priority pick from the Jerks last game, and certainly was a menace as the game got later and later. So with the Mel pick likely secured as the mid lane pick, not wanting to deal with the Hui because there's not a ton of things you can really bounce back against the Hui.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where the Sejuani does go. If it does get flexed to the jungle, and if Alcalamity does have an answer to this Camille.
Syndra is the final ban, and insta-lock with the Xin Zhao, so they're saving mid for last pick. going for the Xin Zhao, getting a good amount of fight going, and heavy AD on the side of the Jerks, so definitely going for an AP mid laner here as the final pick. But yeah, we'll see if that Sejuani ends up being in the jungle versus Xin Zhao or in the top lane versus Camille. I feel like you kind of play it either way, depending on what you are looking to do. The Maokai is available for Fish Are Friends if they want it. There's also plenty of other options available. Looks like they're going back to the Scion pick. That's more or less always just going to go top lane. So a Sejuani jungle, Scion top to deal with the Camille. Isn't going to have the damage threat that you can usually have to deal with the Camille, but will be able to at least continue to keep up with her. And the Urson Sivir coming in, the spell shield to dodge out Camille ult, to dodge out Nautilus ult, and to speed everybody up when you're trying to run everyone down with late game Scion.
Yeah, definitely a good Sivir pick in this spot. With the heavy dive comp that the Jerks are drafting up here. Going to see their last pick. Definitely going to be AP, like you said.
Yep, going to be looking for that AP pick here.
Brand.
The brand. So
Wow.
That's another interesting one. A lot of picks here, very interesting. So I haven't really thought about it too much with Mel, but it's really interesting seeing the number of champions that people will ban out against Mel because they aren't really too interactive with her ability to rebound abilities and spells. And, the Hui, the Syndra. It's definitely really interesting to see that now they're throwing in the brand as the final pick, because that definitely gives them some potential real devastating team fight and just absolutely devastating burst damage.
Yeah, Brand definitely a great pick into the Scion and Sejuani, two extremely high health stackers, and Brand with his percent HP passive going to be melting that front line here. Both teams, again, decent late game. It kind of seems like the Jerks are playing more of the skirmish style with the Xin Zhao, with this Camille, with the Tristana. Definitely want to look to pick up leads early, prevent the Sivir and Scion from really, scaling throughout this late game here.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be looking to try to get as much done as possible, because definitely the late game, besides getting picked off by a Camille or a Nautilus or a Xin Zhao, the late game definitely favors Hotdog, with Scion scaling, Sivir scaling, Mel and Sejuani scaling. So the Jerks are definitely going to be looking to try to get as much done as possible as early as possible, and they definitely have a composition that can scrap early. Xin, Brand, and Camille definitely have a really powerful 3v3, and same thing with Xin, Nautilus, Tristana. Xin can go on either side of the map, and he's got very powerful 2v2 and 3v3 potential. So it'll be interesting to see how Hotdog responds and reacts in this early game, and if we get any sort of other spice or anything else really going on. Based on how we watched in the first game, there definitely was a lot of kind of tension where there wasn't a ton of action. Everyone was just taking objectives, trading things back and forth. Not a ton of fighting, and the game just broke open at 2 items in 20 minutes. Everyone was piling on top of each other. So I'm curious to know if we're going to get this same swell of a crescendo and the payoff, or it's just going to be now the nerves of game 1 are gone, and now it's time to get in the pit and fight right away. I'm very interested to see kind of where that goes. Where do you think the advantage lies for Hotdog, and where do you think the advantage lies for Jerks?
Like I was saying earlier, I think Hotdog, if they can make it to that later game, that 2 to 3 items without falling too far behind, they'll be in a great spot with the Sivir. Sivir 3 items. Everyone knows it. Her with this 3-item power spike is quite insane. Can wipe any team fight. And I'm curious to see how the Jerks do in this early game. Definitely more of the skirmish, like I was saying. And they're definitely the aggressors this game compared to last game where they had that Zeri, had that Yuumi. They just wanted to chill and farm and scale up into the game. And like you mentioned, Hotdog definitely later on into the game has to watch these side lanes, prevent getting picked. This Camille, Xin Zhao, Brand, these champions are really good at getting picks on these side lanes here. So that'll definitely be their win con. Hotdog definitely just needs to get to this later game with a couple items on Sivir. We'll see. We'll see how they do.
Yep, we will see indeed. We're going to cut this over to a break here. When we return, we'll be on Owner's Rift for Game 2 of this 3-game best-of-3 finals here between Hotdog and the Jerks. See you all soon. All right, welcome back to Summer's Rift, everybody, for the Game Arena Spring Summoner Series Grand Finals. Hotdog is up 1-0 on the Jerks. And we are, once again, back to that classic 5-point start. I'm Baskin and Ives. And I'm joined by our man in the green shirt, who's been there all day, who is ready to rock and ready to roll. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. From spectator to caster, you know. Can't believe I made it to the big stage, but we're here. You know, both teams choosing the same exact side selection here. Not a whole lot going on. I do believe I hear typing in the chat. Curious to see what they're saying to each other as minions
Certainly
are spawning.
The banter is hopefully vast and loud, as it makes it so much more fun. But yeah, I mean, hey, life comes at you fast, and they went from spectator to caster, and here we are in the grand finals. Almost 10 o'clock for everyone out there in Ohio, and we're getting in here. Final boss from Ohio is getting smacked around a little bit. We'll see if he can get himself on out. Immediately getting CC'd by Sejuani. Fish are friends, but they are not your friend, and Fish are friends secures first blood. Blowing the flash, which may or may not have been necessary, but does walk away with first blood. Evil Troy immediately going down. Tristana is actually the mid laner. So instead of expecting the... And also, Sivir is also the mid laner. What world are we living in right now? Oh yeah, the world where, I forgot, Urson plays lots of mages bot lane. So here we are. So Void and Urson have made the agreement to play mages bot, and we've got AD carries mid lane. All right, let's talk about it.
Yeah, since Lobster invading this Sejuani here, going to perhaps be a skirmish.
Ooh, however, Sejuani does manage to utilize the smite and get the advantage, getting to level 2 staying level 2 on that, and also he'll still walk away, camp in hand, and having basically wasted Xin Zhao's time, getting a back and getting the Ruby Crystal all the way already in, thanks to that early first blood.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Shun does on the Sivir mid. You know, quite a different champion than what he's been playing this entire tournament. So we'll see if he's able to perform. Pretty tame here, side of Hotdog's bot lane, definitely getting some pressure against Void early on.
Yeah, it's certainly been very interesting to watch these teams throughout the tournament and their draft adaptations, the way that they kind of will mix and match certain things and kind of subvert a lot of what other people would expect as the standard expectations. Certainly they upset my expectations of and subverted that, and we're going to see if expectations of how junglers will operate will continue to be subverted as they are looking to keep the vision game strong and keep getting the invades in. It looks like they will be able to take away the blue buff from Evil Lobster.
Yeah, Fisher Friends definitely returning that favor with the jungle invade here. Going to secure that blue buff.
Yeah, taking the blue buff and the bottom scuttle, so not going to be leaving a whole lot for Evil Lobster to really do besides get a recall in, and Fish Are Friends at this point can look to just go mid lane and go up to top and double scuttle while we've got a fight going on in the bot lane. A huge amount of damage being chunked down onto Evil Void. Also, Evil Troy being pushed on out, and yeah, looks like Fish Are Friends is going for that double scuttle, trying to really pressure an advantage. Then will likely either recall or go for his wolves and then recall. Applause doing it out with Evil Phantom, getting a little bit of damage on in, dodging out the brand W, but getting some more damage on in. Evil Phantom is going for the flash, however, Urson doesn't care if there's Nautilus on him. He's got a brand to kill, and Urson gets the second kill of the game. Evil Void going on down, another fight going on top lane. The final boss of Ohio still wants to reclaim his name and title of being the final boss, but Al Calamity has a different thing in mind. He gets some return damage.
Lobster repeating his actions with this. Gromp seeing if he can, you know, be the successor over it now.
Well, second time is not the charm in that one, and seems like Fish Are Friends is certainly leaving the Xin Zhao in the dust, and the Evil Lobster's kind of getting pretty well starved. Not the nice, good, juicy lobster that you want to have. But immediately Urson going right back in on Evil Void, getting critical damage on them, as well as dodging the Seer, which is going to prevent the stun and follow-up. So really good footwork from Urson. Applause to take an advantage early and dodge out on some critical damage from Void and Phantom.
And it's an interesting choice to send this Mel bot for the side of Hotdogs, considering the interaction between Mel and Nautilus. Little skirmish breaking out here.
Yeah, but a good block with the W to block the Seer. And just, yeah, lots of trading back and forth, kind of a little bit of some scrappiness, but otherwise a relatively calm early game. Yeah, mid laners farming. You do have a really high advantage, though. Fish Are Friends really sitting in a strong spot here. Up to almost 3 jungle camps on Evil Lobster.
Applause deciding to take this reset here. Urson believes he's fine. No requesting help from Fish Are Friends. Phantom throws that hook. It does end up missing. Going to take a reset on the side of the Jerks bot lane.
Yep, going in for that reset right now. They don't have the teleport available, so we'll see if they go for anything. It looks like Alcalamity's checking to make sure that they are not on the Void Grubs. They are not. Might opt to start them himself. Looks like he is, and Fish Are Friends is looking to counter in the engage from Evil Troy. Evil Troy has jumped on him, but as he jumped into his own doom, he has managed to flash on out, or jump on out. Flash coming in from Shun, not able to get anything else done. Flash also blown for Fish Are Friends, but they will likely be able to get, or will they be able to get themselves this set of Void Grubs? Shun has utilized the ultimate, however, the Hextech Ultimatum is the ultimate way to hold down a Sivir in this game, and he is taken on down. Shun bites the dust. 2 Void Grubs, the name of Hotdog, 1 the name of the Jerks, and a lot more scrappiness than game 1, certainly.
Yeah, definitely going well for the Jerks is kind of what I believe they want to play for. Hotdog, Shun, and Fish Are Friends definitely caught between a rock and a hard place with how they were forced up from that mid lane, and Final Boss of Ohio having that prio in the top lane, able to come down and secure that kill on Shun.
Yep, and Camille getting that Sheen early is going to be really, really good for her to be able to get themselves towards that Trinity Force that they always want to go for early. Right now, just trading of wave clear between Evil Troy and Shun. Not a ton of other action going on. Right now, still all feats of strength are ready and available for anyone's taking. We're going to see if anybody's able to take that drag and get themselves set enough. Hook misses from Evil Phantom, and looks like Fish Are Friends is aiming for that dragon. Evil Lobster's getting a recall in after his Raptor, so there should be no contestant there. And they should be able to grab this first dragon of the game on the side of Hotdogs.
Definitely still a pretty tame game. Hotdogs now starting up this Drake. Lobster is pathing on his way down. The Jerks know that they've started it. Potentially posturing, could break out in a fight here.
Yep, they could be looking for it. They'd have to rely on a lot of pretty heavy burst damage to be able to get that first. Evil Void looking to try to get some damage on in. However, immediately getting the Flash ultimate, and the minions working against Urson. He goes down. Void manages to get a respite kill. Dragon does go over to the side of Hotdogs. However, they do end up getting a kill and basically evening out the gold lead that Hotdog had from the early game.
Yeah, Fish Are Friends now hovering. Applause here, preventing any potential dives.
Evil Troy jumping on in. However, the damage blocked by the spell shield, at least the jump. Fish Are Friends smart dodges out the Seer, and Brand being out of mana, not going to be able to really do much. Scrapping the top lane. Final Boss fighting with Calamity. Brand trying to get the recall in. Does manage to get the recall in. Does have teleport available if they choose to use it. A lot of damage potentially coming on in. However, it looks like everybody's going to look just to back on off. However, here comes the Nautilus. All depth charge coming on in. Not going to get too much done. However, Evil Void, the ult misses. The Glacial Prison does end up missing. However, the flash from Evil Phantom does miss. And Feats of Warfare are claimed by the side of the Hotdog. They have won the Feat of Warfare. Evil Lobster's looking for a fight in the top lane. Great flash from Alcalamity to dodge on out, forcing a ton of summoner spells and usage out of the side of the Jerks. Flash and ultimate utilized. Ultimate from Camille. Flash from the Xin Zhao. Actually, I think the best play you could get if you were Sign in that case.
Yeah, definitely well played. Great flash from Alcalamity, but good on the Jerks for making that counter play. Opposite to what Hotdog did on the bot side of the map. Urson now is looking pretty scary on this Mel. Now 3-1. He does play a dangerous Mel, so I'm excited to see where this goes. We have a replay.
Replay here, the dive immediately jumping on in onto Evil Void, and just the high amount of damage finally coming on down. The ultimate from the side of Mel, just absolutely crushing Void. And we got our fight now potentially around second set of Void Grubs.
Does look like Hotdog is backing away from these scrubs here. Camille on her one item power spike, definitely very strong, realizing that they don't want to take this fight here.
Yeah, but each team getting 3 grubs apiece, however, never the full set. So only right now 1 of the feats of strength for the objectives owned by the side of Hotdog with the dragon. Otherwise, it may be 3-3, but no objective bounty for that or the feats.
Camille again on that one item, definitely looking scary as she levels up. Her Q is going to start doing more and more damage to the Scion. Kind of on a ticking time bomb. Camille is for Hotdogs. Going to be something problematic to deal with. Just chipping away at these plates, something that Camille does best.
Yeah, just that slowly but surely chip away and slowly becoming more and more of that side lane threat. That is the goal that Final Boss of Ohio is going to have. And it looks like Fish Our Friends might be getting caught out. He might be finding more friends than he wants, but is able to just walk away. Gives up the scuttle. And Evil Troy and Shun are getting a little bit of a fight on off. Does manage to get the heal off of the explosive charge. But still some good trades back and forth between these two mid laners. And still just like a lot of just rebuttals from everybody. And not just Mel with her W, but everyone's just kind of fighting with each other, going a little bit even, tit for tat on everything. And we're just waiting for that first big fight win to break on out. Let's see, Mel's getting caught on out here. Urson getting caught, however, utilizing the wild growth. There comes the Glacial Prison. However, teleport coming on in. Golden Eclipse ends up getting the kill onto Evil Phantom. However, here comes Final Boss of Ohio. However, the root, the Solar Snare, so clutch in stopping Final Boss from getting on in and using that Hex Tech ultimatum. Really just gets away with a teleport for nothing there.
Yeah, Dragon is now spawning here. Saya, Alcalamity ulting down here. However, it does look like Hotdog is going to give this not really on the greatest tempo timer here, so going to take the resets, give one more Drake as they can afford.
Yep, Hextech Ultimatum being used, however, Alcalamity is just trying to stay alive as long as possible. Might be able to keep himself alive, however, goes on down too much CC for too long. Alcalamity just trying to stay alive and not into way, try to take as much advantage as possible. You do have Urson moving towards the top lane. Sivir caught on out. Shun is being damaged, however, not enough. A ton coming down to Evil Troy and Evil Phantom.
Shun knowing his limits there with Lulu behind him. Final boss of Ohio going to take this bot. Tier 1 going to be the first tower of the game here. A lot of gold going over to this Camille, going to definitely be scary. TP coming out from Tristana here to protect this top tower.
Have Evil Troy going on in, however, immediately gets the rebuttal on their own explosive charge. Fish Our Friends is finding some friends. He's finding the Lobster. He's finding Evil Troy. Does he want to keep going? Shun is coming on in. They have the opportunity to fight on out. Immediately, the Xin Zhao ultimate being used to knock them all away. And we're kind of just back to that standoff. We do have Rift Herald spawning in 20 seconds. Shun dodging on out on Evil Void. Flash going on in. However, there comes the Glacial Prison, and there goes the brand. I guess Ice does beat Fire in this case, and Evil Void goes on down for the third time this game.
Yeah, Void definitely an overstep there. Didn't really have any teammates to back him up. Going to quickly fall there. Herald is spawning. Troy playing up as his teammates do hover him here.
Yep, Urson looking to burst him on down. Gets a high amount of damage. Is the Golden Eclipse going to do enough damage? Not going to use it just yet. However, Evil Phantom, ooh, a good dodge from Urson. Dodging twice. Get this man some dancing shoes. He's a professional. And there goes the Golden Eclipse. It's not quite enough damage to kill them yet. However, Al Calamity from the back. You're not supposed to be on red side. You're on blue side. But it does not matter. It manages to take down two of them. Evil Lobster and Evil Phantom both go on down. And that will certainly be a tower in top lane and the Rift Herald for the side of Hotdog.
Really great TP from Al Calamity. Just coming through that tower there. Fisher Friends starting up Herald as Lulu and Scion get this top tier 1. In the meantime, final boss of Ohio still splitting in the spot side of the map, trying to farm up. Eventually going to hopefully join these team fights and you know, use his power that he's been, you know, collecting throughout the entire game here. Going to take a reset as Fisher Friends and Applause finish up on this Herald.
Yeah, we'll have to see if the fruits of the labor of Final Boss of Ohio, just kind of split pushed and playing side lane, will end up paying off. Feats of Strength are still on the table. It's 2-1 with objectives favoring Hotdog, but there's still a dragon spawning in a minute 53. We got a mountain map, so Mountain Soul is going to be on the board eventually this game. And man, oh man, do both these teams want that extra durability.
Oh yeah, and oh, here we have a replay here of the Al Calamity TP. Let's see.
Just comes on up, hiding in the bush, and saying, you know what, I'm just gonna ult. Immediately uses the ult to kill Evil Lobster. A quick chain of events from Urson to knock down Phantom, and we are right back to live. Evil Troy looking to get some extra damage onto Al Calamity, forcing out the Buster shot. Final boss of Ohio is maybe a little bit in trouble. The Glacial Prison goes in, and he goes down. Fish Our Friends with a second kill here of the game. Evil Phantom trying to look for Urson, but once again, the dancing shoes on Urson's Mel are fantastic. Al Calamity getting bursted by Evil Troy. Goomba Stomp 1, Goomba Stomp 2. However, you got a man with a giant axe. He's looking to go on in. Evil Lobster's looking to take him on down. He gets the kill. However, what's it going to cost you? Because right now, the top lane is getting absolutely decimated on the side of the Jerks. They already have the inhibitor tower down just 18 minutes and 50 seconds into the game, busting open that top lane inhibitor thanks to the Rift Herald.
Yeah, that initial pick on Final Boss of Ohio from Hotdogs really broke open the next final, or the next you know, plays here on the map for both sides of the team. Both sides. Dragon, third Drake of the game, that first mountain, Drake of many, spawning as the Jerks having first rotation on it. Void definitely low, haven't started it up yet, starting up now. Going to see how both teams play.
We'll see how they both play around this right now. First track is on the side of the Jerks, and likely they're just going to be able to get it unless they come on in. On the hunt is Pop. If they're going in, Buster Shot used to bust out. Fish are friends, it doesn't matter. This man can't miss when it comes to smite. Immediately Urson takes down Evil Void despite the ultimate. Urson got a double kill. Evil Lobster is getting taken down. Shun gets the kill with enough auto attacks to make your head spin. And you've got this game busted wide open. 3 kills for nothing. We're going to see if Evil Troy can get himself away. Is he able to get himself away? He is. He does make the great escape. But it comes at great cost. You lost the fight. You lost the dragon. You're losing mid tower. You're probably going to lose bottom tower. And you're certainly losing Otacon. This is one of the few times where getting the Otacon is worth it. However, here comes Evil Void. He's looking to take on Urson. We'll see if he's managed to do it. You also have Final Boss of Ohio coming on in the back. However, such high damage from Urson. Utilizes such good footwork. Manages to get the double kill. Thanks to the Solar Snare getting the root on. Utilizes such efficiency and proficiency on his kit. Holy crap, what a play from Urson. Busting that game open, 9-2-2 on this Mel, and he is certainly online.
Yeah, the mechanics of Urson, just a beauty to watch. It's another fight.
But we're not done yet. Evil Troy's trying to get a fight. However, you do not win that with a Lulu-empowered Sivir.
Yeah, as we talk about the Sivir here, 2.5 items taking a reset. Curious to see building towards that IE here. Now, I was really looking towards this final boss of Ohio and seeing, you know, what he was going to do with his lead. Kind of disappointed here. The game seems to be definitely, you know, moving away from the Jerks as Hotdog, you know, picking up quite a lead here.
Yeah, it seems like the Camille is not really paying off right now, and I think, like, while that's a little bit of, you know, a miss from them, I think it's mainly just credit to the side of Hotdog. They're playing their composition really, really well and preventing the Camille from isolating targets most of the time. The Glacial Prison goes wide left. Unfortunately, the drifting did not pay off for Fish Are Friends. But still just getting some poke damage in. They're still committing to this 1-3-1 with the split push between the Camille and the Tristana. Trying to see if they can get themselves to potentially 3rd and 4th items before trying to take that next team fight.
Yeah, not a whole lot going on right now. Next neutral up in 2 minutes. Final boss getting out. Troy taking some shots.
Yep, Evil Troy trying to jump on in. However, probably not going to get enough damage to really make a huge dent in Al Calamity. Does have 2 items with the Wound Tiles and the Infinity Edge, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to really bust through this Scion.
Yeah, this game definitely moving away from the Jerks at quite a quick pace here.
Yep, we're going to see Shun might be getting caught out here. Final Boss for Ohio coming on in. Shun on the hunt is popped. However, utilizes the Spell Shield to actually stop the Hextech Ultimatum. However, still ends up getting strucken down. Final Boss Ohio looking to live up to his name, fighting against Fish Are Friends. In comes the applause in the back. Fish Are Friends trying to get bailed on out by the Lulu. Getting poked on down and poked on out. However, Urson is on their way. We're going to see if they can get any more done. They do have vision. So Final Boss Ohio does know that they're all there. But a good heads-up play does manage to get the kill onto Shun, and they do get rewarded with the mid-outer tower as well. Al Calamity going right in, though, immediately jumping onto Evil Void. Evil Void got hit by just the tip of the axe, and the tip of the axe is all they need. The tip of the axe needs to be greater than the spear. Evil Lobster's coming on in. They do manage to shut down the Mel. However, Evil Troy might be going down with them. Evil Lobster might be joining them as well. Shun is doing as much damage as he can, does take them on down. The Evil Troy is taken down by Scion. However, they're still fighting. Here comes everybody. Final Boss Ohio taking on down, failing that flash. The only one left standing is Evil Phantom, and he might just end up being a Phantom here by the time that Al Calamity is done with him. We might be looking at an inner tower taken here, as well as set up for Dragon in 20 seconds. Al Calamity trying to do as much as he can to keep Evil Phantom interested. Does manage to walk away. They should get rewarded, though, on the side of Hotdog with that inner tower and inside trap on the 3rd Mountain Dragon.
Game is definitely starting to explode open just like the last here. Hotdog's in a great spot, up 5k gold as the 4th Drake of the game is now on the map, as well as Baron. Curious to see how both of these teams decide to play these following objectives. TP coming in from Final Boss of Ohio.
Yep, and now the onus is on the Jerks to be able to get this dragon. So if you are the side of Hotdog, you could just say, okay, you guys want dragon, we'll just take Baron instead. We're up a dragon. You guys have to be the ones to take this dragon. We can just go for Baron, and that looks like exactly what they're choosing to do. Final Boss of Ohio is the one that used his teleport, so even if they keep Final Boss of Ohio on the dragon, it doesn't matter. They can just go for this Baron. It looks like they're trying to bait them on in, potentially for this Baron, draw them away from the dragon, and it will be a successful play. And they do manage to also clear out the vision around the Baron thanks to the Scuttle Burst. But we're going to see if they stick around. They're still keeping Camille on that dragon. And they're also keeping Tristana mid lane right now. So they're looking for a fight. They're looking to try to take down. Oh, man. Fish our friends. He's just not landing those ultimates onto Evil Void. The Pyroclasm does not end up hitting. And they do give enough time for Final Boss of Ohio to manage to get that dragon. And really nothing to show for it on the side of Hotdog.
Yeah, really great macro from the Jerks as they decided to keep that Camille on the dragon, as the Jerks decided to be the Jerks to Hotdog as they were on this Baron here.
Oop, Evil Lobster slowed on down. Might be forced to utilize the ultimate. Nope, managed to use the Audacious Charge through Talon Strike to get on out. Again, right now you're just having wash, rinse, and repeat. Hotdog is going on to the Baron, and this might just be theirs for the taking. Evil Lobster's the only one in range. He's looking to come on in. Polymorph, though, and taken on down. Immediately a clutch Polymorph from Applause before Evil Lobster can even ult to hit them all away. Final Boss of Ohio does get the rebuttal tower in the bottom lane. However, you got 5 Hotdogs wearing purple, and we all know that Lulu loves wearing purple.
Yeah, Sivir here, definitely online, Mel online. Hotdog's in a great spot. Again, as we were talking in the pre-game, this is where they want to be. All their members nicely scaling. It's kind of onto the Jerks to find a pick with their Camille, with their Nautilus, with their Jin Zhao. Hotdog's going to be using this Baron here to start taking some more objectives. We'll see if Final Boss of Ohio decides to join the team fight here.
Yep, doing a 4-1 split here with mid and bottom lane, just trying to get as much in. Fish, our friends, finally lands the ultimate and gets a ton of damage onto Evil Void, forcing him on down and back. And the Mel lands that ultimate. Golden Eclipse eclipses Evil Void and completely takes him down. And they're just going to let the Baron minions do some work, continue to pressure on in. Final Boss of Ohio is looking to hopefully get a recall in and get a little bit of a respite. However, Calamity stopping that back, and now we're just going to get the mid and top lane inhibitor rotations taken by the side of Hotdog. They are looking to just really bust this game on open and force the side of the Jerks to have to fight them in the bottom lane at that final inhibitor tower. However, Inner Tower taken in by Final Boss of Ohio. He's looking to do as much damage as he can to Calamity. Is he going to be able to take them on down? Is able to do it, is able to get on out. It cost him a lot of time, but that's all it is time. And you know what? He's fine with taking that time. You got Applause trying to do what they can. Final Boss of Ohio trying to get on out. Does have Flash available in about 5 seconds. However, is that 5 seconds long enough? Not enough. The Mel ultimate comes back on up, and the Golden Eclipse once again claims another soul.
Curious to see what Hotdogs choose to do here as Troy taking a reset in a spooky position here. They are positioning towards the spot lane turret, as this is the last lane left with objectives. Posturing up as both top and mid for Hotdogs will automatically push in using those supers. Hotdogs.
Yep, we'll have about one wave left of minions here with super, with Baron, and then it's about 90 seconds right now until the dragon here, which would put them onto Soul Point. Be the last little bit of Baron here, and then that's fallen on off now, and with everybody alive, watch for the teleport from final boss. They might look to try to get a teleport play on here.
Yeah,
this is the time that they are going to want to fight.
The Jerks realizing that they have waves coming on in.
Yep, right now, if you're the side of Hotdog, you're just trying to keep them in their base. So you start them a vision, you can go for this dragon. If you're the side of the Jerks, you need to pick your moment before super minions end up on your base. They might just end up giving this final inhibitor tower up to try to live another day. Now Calamity getting juggled on around. However, is it enough? We're going to see what happens. The Golden Eclipse ends up being enough to take down 2. Takes down 3. We got a triple kill from Urasan. Are we going to make it a quadra kill? We are going to make it a quadra kill.
Blue team quadra kill.
Urasan absolutely carrying this game right now on the Mel Medarda. Making her name legendary right now. And it's all but over. I don't think Evil Phantom has enough hooks in his kit to be able to keep this thing alive. We are looking at potentially a 2-0 here, ladies and gentlemen, and I believe that the Hot Dogs are the superior thing versus the Jerks today. And unless something changes, nope, it is the delayed pentakill for Urasan, and that is all she wrote. Final score, 2-0. Hot Dog are your grand champions of the Game Arena Spring Summoners Series. What a contrast and what a departure from Game 1 and Game 2. This was a just no holds barred fight right from minute 1, all gas, no brakes. Runis, how are you feeling? What are you thinking about that? Let's break that on down.
Yeah, definitely explosive game, just like the first. Urasan, I believe, 16-3 on that Mel. It was a spectacle to watch. I believe I have him here with me in booth. If we want to go over some questions, I present to Urasan. Welcome.
God, do I just scoot into frame?
Yeah, I guess that's what we're doing.
Yep, well, joining us, the victorious Urasan, the master of the Mel, the master of the Varus, the master of disaster. How are you feeling, man? I mean, I completely forgot that it was when I came back from the break and it was, oh, we have a Mel bottom lane. That's weird. And then I was like, oh, wait, it's Urasan. So, of course it's a mage bottom lane. Why wouldn't it be a mage bottom lane? How are you feeling after that series? How are you feeling after the long day that you guys have had to get to this point?
Dude, I'm super excited that it's over. I think it's been super fun. Basket, you know me, I love to play the skirmishy champions alongside the mages, but these past 8 games have just been Lulu and scaling and more Lulu and more scaling, so it's been kind of sluggish, but I'm glad that we were able to win this time around, and I had a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of cool people, and honestly, I'm excited to do this again sometime.
Yeah, the LAN events are always some of the most fun when it comes to just interactivity, a lot of people putting names to faces, or faces to names, and being able to just have some fun. And yeah, definitely the Lulu hype train. I was messaging with applause on the side, and it was just, I was like, so why Lulu? This is not your normal, at least in my knowledge of her normal roulette of champions. She's known for a lot of her engage and a lot of the other things. She's like, it's that OP. We're playing Lulu until somebody bans it or takes it away from us because we just want it. And hey, you guys still managed to adapt with it. And she definitely did a good job of keeping y'all alive most of the time.
Yeah, for sure.
But your Mel was just out of this world. You had such fancy footwork, dodging, dipping, ducking, and diving amongst everything that entire game. You were an absolute monster. kind of if it wasn't going to be Mel, what else were you thinking of pulling out?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the compliments. I was practicing Mel for so long because I just think it's such an underrated bot pick. If it wasn't Mel, I was planning on like traditional Hui, just great team fighter, great laner, just someone that I can really take over the game with and neutralize lane with. I just think Mel thrives a lot better in chaos, and our team does not play team fights very organized, so it's just a bit better. But I think if we did play a lot slower, a lot more organized, Hui is just better in every way.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure where we stand with the some of like the MVP or player of the series kind of chats, but if you had to give somebody player of the series or player of the day, whichever way you want to view it, you know, including yourself, but if you want to be humble and give it to somebody else, you can. Who would it be on your team that you thought was like just the best perform that you guys had?
It's kind of hard because I feel like everyone at some point really brought something significant. Like each series, there was just one person that really stood out and like changed everything around. And it may be a bit biased, but I guess I would want to say Applause just because she kind of helped organize and keep everything together. And I mean that both in the literal sense of like gathering everyone here and organizing schedules, times, everything, and also in the game sense of like she was the one helping keep everyone's head in the game, the one making sure no one was mental booming, the one always making sure that like, hey, we need to start draft now, we need to do this now, we need to, kind of just making sure everyone is on track and doing things when they should.
Yep, that is definitely par for the course for the, for Applause and just being the one to keep the flow and keep the management and kind of be the kind of like the proverbial like League of Legends mom for everybody of like, all right, everyone, all right, kids, nope, we're going this way. I don't care. Stop it. We're going there. So always doing a lot of great work. She's always so great to learn from and so much fun to work with. And I'm not sure how often you've been at the game arena itself, but what'd you think of the venue? What'd you think of kind of the setups and kind of just the environment as a whole?
Yeah, so this is my second time coming out for an event over here. I believe I came last year around the same time frame. We did not make it as far. I think we didn't even make it to playoffs. Well, I guess we didn't progress past playoffs, but it's honestly, it's been super nice. It's really fun. I love this style of thing because, there's where I live, there isn't anything like this. We have like one kind of ugly place like 2 hours away in the city, but this is really a different experience than, just sitting in a Discord voice chat playing with people. Like we actually hung out, we got to play. A lot of friends got to come out and they literally sat behind us and watched us play all day, which was sick. Yeah.
Yep, including our man in green.
Yeah, it was so
here.
fun. We had a live audience in the back. It was super fun. I would definitely love to do this again.
Yeah, LAN events are always some of the best. Some of my fondest memories are playing at like Buckeye LAN way back in the day and doing all the different game arena and other events. Nothing beats it. Nothing's greater than it. Rudis, you got any other questions as well? You've been the man behind the scenes for most of the day, and then you came right on in and were the green hero as my cohort in this finals cast. You got any questions or anything for Ursan over here?
I am just glad that the team I spent 10 hours behind ended up taking it all. I put all my eggs in one basket, and it ended up working out. So congrats to you guys. Very, very well played today. A lot of games, but you stuck through, so glad to see.
Awesome. Well, congratulations to Hotdog winning on out the Game Arena Spring Summoners Series. They took first. Great performance from all the teams, especially from the side of the Jerks, that made it a very fun and very competitive semifinals and finals. And that is really all we have for you all today. Thank you so much, everybody who joined us in chat, everyone who joined at the event. Thank you all for coming on out. Thank you all for being great, fun, and positive supporters of the scene and of these players and of these teams. And just continue to follow their journey, continue to follow them on their socials, on their Twitches, on all their different things. A lot of these players are absolute great, and they absolutely love working and teaching and showing other people some of the great parts of this game. So until next time, everybody, my name's Basket Knives. We got Urson here as well, and Ruinous. This was the Game Arena Spring Summoner Series. Congratulations to Hotdog as the winners of the series, and we will see you all for the next one, probably, I would assume, this summer.